I feel like we did a good job, we uploaded the video, why aren't people watching it? You may well have planned it out perfectly, and it basically should have worked. But this is what to do if it doesn't work. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Water Break. Got my water canister here. Actually, one of the first episodes for the new series on how to make YouTube videos, or how not to make YouTube videos, was actually how to select a camera. I was like, I really want to do a video where I go through like the cheapest possible character, the cheapest possible camera, the most expensive possible camera that you can choose before you are deciding, how to make your YouTube videos. And I realized that really, before you can decide what kind of camera to buy for your YouTube channel, or maybe if you want to be a Twitch streamer, I think it probably helps to choose what kind of content you want to make. And you may already think that you know exactly what kind of content you want to make, because you've already been watching your favorite channels and you go, I want to be like that guy, or I want to be like that girl. You've just chosen people that you want to be like. You've seen other channels and you think, I'd like to do that too. But this can, in fact, be one of the biggest stumbling blocks for not most people, but for a large number of people getting into YouTube. And here's why. When people get into content creation, because they've seen other people doing it, and for some reason, they don't know exactly why, they think they've thought it through, but in their gut, they just feel like, I need to be doing that too. So for example, you see someone doing illustration, you think, I need to be drawing for my career too. Or you see someone being a doctor and doctoring, or they were your doctor, and you feel, this person helped me, I need to help people, I want to be a doctor too. For me, before I was going into YouTube, the one thing that I really, really wanted to do was write music. I heard music by like composers for video games like Final Fantasy, or for like my favorite anime, and I was like, oh wow, this is the music that just cuts right down to your core, and even if you forget the game, you remember the music, and I want to be that guy who writes that music that makes people remember the game even more. So it's not like a necessary evil that there was a soundtrack, but it's like almost because of the soundtrack that people fell in love with the game even more. I actually thought that I wanted to be the composer, even if it meant that my name wouldn't even be on the credits, or just be on the credits as stuff for the game, but no one would know that it was me that was the composer. I was just like, I want people to hear my music, and that's all that mattered. That very much changed when I went to university, and this is a separate story for a separate time, but I completely changed from just wanting to write music to wanting the world to know that I wrote that music. And so to bring it back to video making, it's actually not that I want people to know that I made that video, but I took a different aspect. Even though with music, I wanted to write great music, but it was kind of that I wanted my name to be on it, and I wanted people to remember that I had contributed something to the world before I left, and I wanted it to be music. When it came to YouTube, it wasn't quite like that. I actually took a different aspect of what I wanted to do with music, which was I wanted to do it better. And the only reason I know this is because my friend actually said she wanted to compose music. She wasn't a composer, but she had a lot of experience with music. She knows way more about music than I do. She bought the software, she bought like Sibelius or whatever software she wanted on her computer, and she had her paper and her pencil and she had all her stuff, but she didn't know what to write. So she's like, I mean, you're a composer, how do you know what to write? Because I just sit in front of the paper, I've just got nothing. Like, I know I want to write music, but I don't know what to write. And I think that's the issue that a lot of people will come up with when they try to make videos, especially if you're interested in making fighting game content. Outside of the really big subscription-based channels, a lot of the smaller channels find that to get views on their videos, they have to make really impressive combos, or really impressive tutorials, or completely massive, incredibly thorough 50-minute condensed tutorials that teach you every possible thing that you need to know about the game. And it's actually not the case, I've personally found. There's a much wider variety of content that can be made for any topic that you've chosen, whether you want to be a music YouTuber, a Pokemon YouTuber, a video games in general YouTuber, a Japan tuber, or a fighting game tuber, whatever it is you want to be. There's always going to be ways to make content about it. But if you don't decide at the start why you want to make content, then it's going to be much harder when you come to your first stumbling block. Like, I don't know what to make. I made the thing that I planned to make and it didn't work. So I think the most likely scenario for everyone trying to get into content creation is that I'm gonna make this channel and it's going to be huge. I'm gonna make the funniest videos, we're gonna sit on the couch, we're gonna play fighting games and people are gonna love it. And then you make the first video and it gets like 10 views, 15 views. And it turns out 5 of those views were, I don't know, your brother who you paid money to watch it for you. And it's like, what? I don't understand. Like, the people that I invited over, they were funny. I feel like we did a good job. We uploaded the video. Why aren't people watching it? And the thing is, no matter how well you've planned out your idea, your execution might just, for whatever reason, not jive with the YouTube algorithm or with people in general. Maybe that's just not what they want to see. You may well have planned it out perfectly and it basically should have worked, but this is what to do if it doesn't work. And for most channels, they'll put out those first 10 videos and go, this just isn't worth it. I can't monetize it yet because I don't have 10,000 subs and 4,000 hours of viewing. I don't understand why I should bother going on because this is just not going to work out. People just don't get me. At this point, after you've put in all that effort and that first set of videos doesn't go so well and you're starting to come around to the other side and you're like, oh, I feel low, this just isn't working out for me. That's when you're going to be grateful that you had thought about, in this video, after this video, why you want to make videos. And I would say to you the same thing that I said to my friend who wanted to write music. When she said, how do you know what to write when you write music? I said, well, why do you want to compose? Personally, for me and for probably everyone else I know on the composition team at school where we're learning to write music, it's because we think that we can do it better. That's not to be arrogant. We're not looking out at the rest of the world and going, you know what, all this music sucks, and the only thing it needs is for me to show up and write it better. Clearly, there's already plenty of great music out there. But even so, even though there's a ton of great stuff out there, to still think that you can contribute even more and go one step further or one step to the side or to just increase the sphere of content that we have from not just the same 2 guys on a couch playing Street Fighter to a little bit more, to a more diverse group of people playing Street Fighter, or a less funny and more serious group of people playing Street Fighter, or an extremely funny group of people who are terrible at Street Fighter. Basically, it doesn't have to be always those 2 people. The sphere can always increase. And that's why when you look at your favorite creators and you're in that slump after that first video doesn't go so well, don't give up at that point, because at that point you will think, there's just nothing I can do to topple the greats, the ones that I wanted to be like. Because you can, you absolutely can. You're just going to have to go back to this video when you thought about it. After this video is finished, I want you to go and think about it. Why do I want to make content? And it might not be that you think you can do it better, but do you think you can contribute more to this space? That's gonna be really important. So personally, for example, like with music, I actually genuinely believed, like, look, I think there's some really great stuff that's been put out there with like emotive orchestral music, but I don't feel like there's been enough that's been mixed with rock, and so I was mixing like rock elements with orchestral stuff. Who knows? Maybe that could have caught on, but I didn't really continue it for long enough before I ended up just jumping onto the YouTube train. But the story for me with YouTube was that I was actually watching other YouTubers who were doing like guitar reviews and people who were doing reviews of games in Japan. Well, not even just reviews, just people just unboxing special stuff that you could only buy in Japan. And I would watch these videos and I was like, oh man, this guy's really funny and he does it really well. I'm enjoying this video, but I think I could do it better. I think I could be more succinct. I think I could organize it better. I feel like I could film it better. I feel like these videos could afford to be a bit shorter, or these other videos could afford to be a bit longer. I feel like there's a missed opportunity there where we could have gone into a lot of detail about this stuff that I think people really want to know. And I think if you look at the original NihongoGamer videos, you'll see Basically, it's just me nerding out on some really detailed stuff that a lot of people just don't actually care about. And at the time, I honestly didn't even know that monetization was a thing. It wasn't until like a year after my channel was running that one of my friends told me. In fact, it was Stu in Tokyo who told me. He's like, yeah, do you mind if I monetize this video? And I was like, you can monetize videos? What is this? So I had no idea that you could actually do it. I was actually just doing it because I was like, I think a lot of people don't have access to these limited edition, Japanese edition versions of games. So I'll just go out, buy them, unbox them, and be as thorough as possible. Show every aspect of the box art, show every aspect of the cartridge, show people some actual gameplay footage of it as well. Also, especially because I'm learning Japanese, I can also help people who are also learning Japanese by explaining as much of it as I know. While I'm going through the game, I can kind of translate a little bit of what I understand, because a lot of people wouldn't have access to those games, a lot of the ones that I was unboxing, until like a year or a year and a half after they came out. And to be honest, some of those games never came out in the West. So whether or not I was conscious of it, I had accidentally slipped into this zone where I was providing something that wasn't being provided for anywhere else. So in my particular case, it was that I felt I could provide something that other channels might not be providing. Some extra detail, or some access to content that people don't have access to just because they're not in Japan, stuff like that. But I don't think it has to be like that. You could totally do it for completely other reasons. I just haven't really thought about it, why other people might be interested in making videos. It's just important that you decide for yourself, so that when you get to that slump, you know what to do next. As much as you probably don't like to hear it, even though you have a really great idea in your mind right now, like, we're gonna sit on a couch, the lighting's gonna be really cool, we're gonna have neon lights in the background, I'm gonna use a Panasonic GH5, I'm gonna use this lens by this company, and I'm gonna use this Blue Mountain microphone, or whatever, Blue Yeti microphone, I'm gonna use this Audio-Technica microphone. I feel like from the comments that I've read, everyone seems to think they know exactly what they're going to do. The problem is, they don't know what they're going to do after it fails. Now, you might strike gold on your first video, and it might do very, very well. I can't dictate to you why you would want to make videos. You're gonna have to come up with that reason yourself. But if there's one thing that I would shy away from, it's the phrase, because we need more content. Once you get into the idea that you're making content because it needs to be done, or it should be done, or it's something that the world needs. You might be right, it might be something that the world needs, but the way of saying it like that, like it needs, or this should be done, takes you one level away from why you're doing it. So even if you know why the world needs this, like, I know why the world needs climate change. I know why the world needs healthy living. I know why the world needs fun and enjoyable games. I know why the world needs fun and enjoyable fighting game content, because we want more people to come into the fighting game community or something like that. If you don't know why these things that should be done and need to be done, if you don't know why you need to be doing it, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't count like as a reason, and it won't help you when you're trying, well, it might help you, but I don't think it will help you immediately when you're trying to figure out what you need to do next. If you can take those things that you think need to be done, like we just need more fighting game content, then don't stop there and bring it over to why you need to be doing it. It's from that point that you can start to decide, well, I have a lot of friends who are really funny. So the connection already is that I'm in contact with people that are funny, and maybe a lot of YouTubers just don't know other funny people, and so I could make funny videos just by knowing the people and friends that I have. Or because I need editing experience, because I'd love to be a video editor in the future, but I've got nothing to actually edit. So actually, this is my opportunity. Even though I just like fighting games, just playing them, I want to be a video editor in the future, and so if I put the two together, this will become work experience for me. Or maybe you've seen like the channels that are doing it are kind of funny, but they're not actually that good at the game. If only we had a channel where people were funny and comedians, but they actually happen to also be intensely good at these games, and so there would be that wow factor of, whoa, they're just being funny and having fun, but actually they're beating everyone. You don't have to come up with a reason as to why you're doing it. You can start your channel without it, but when that first plan, that great plan of your mice and your men doesn't pan out and you're stuck there with low views and you're just making that content over and over again and it's still not working, you're going to be so glad that you had thought about it at the start why you want to get into it, because it'll come to you immediately. You'll be like, okay, well, we tried it, but it's not going well. But let's remember, why did I get into this game? Oh yeah, because I would love to be the one who showcases my personal local scene. Like, I know that anyone on Earth could be showcasing their local, video game scene on their channel. But if it were me, then I could showcase this local game scene. And there's so much that isn't being shared with the world here. And because I'm right in the middle of it, I could be the one that does it. And I feel like maybe I'm the one that has to do it. And you become like the shonen manga hero of your own little manga life. Once you relate what needs to be done to why you need to be the one to do it, it'll be so much easier to get through that slump, if your channel has a slump. Hopefully you won't. Hopefully that plan that you lay down with your super cool camera and your neon lights and your streaming setup and your brilliant humor, maybe it'll just work out perfectly from the start. But if it doesn't, welcome to the video. It's a roundabout way of saying it, but I think a natural tendency of content creators who tend to be remembered over time are the ones who just felt like they wouldn't be able to go on without getting this content out. It needs to be out there, and I need to have my face on it. This is something I have to do, and not just something that needs to be done. I'm not exactly sure what the quote was, but I think it was like a Maya Angelou quote. And I think the quote was something like, "There's nothing worse than having a story inside you that hasn't been told." No, wait, Maya Angelou. Ah, here we go. "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." And I think that's what it is. For all creators, whether you're writing stories or making videos or out there just performing on a stage in front of people, it's something that's natural for a lot of creators that you feel like, this is something that I just won't be able to make it to tomorrow if I don't do this. This is something that I really want to do. And not just something that needs to be done, something that the world needs. So essentially that's it for now. Just thought I'd chat about this. This is another kind of like preliminary video before we start talking about the ins and outs of the technology and what gear you actually need to use and buy for making your channel. But in my opinion, this is really important. You don't, again, have to do this, because actually, in fact, when you get to that slump, then maybe you can come back and watch this video and spend a couple weeks thinking about it then. But if you haven't bought your gear yet, then thinking about this now can really, really help you decide what camera you need to buy, or what microphone you need to buy, or what streaming PC you need to buy. You could potentially be spending a number of thousands of dollars on this equipment. So if you just spend a little time thinking about stuff like this, like why you want to do it, then when you're in a slump, it'll be so much easier to get out of it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, share links and all that great stuff, and I'll see you in the next NihongoGamer video, or on the Discord, or on a stream, someplace.